Welcome to Asiatique. I'm your host, Dr. Raymond Chang. Well, buckle up. Today we're diving into the ultimate economic showdown, China versus the United States of America, especially now with the return of President Donald Trump. Well, that sounds like the return of the Jedi, or is he actually the Sith? Now, anyway, it's like the Super Bowl of global economies, but with way more tariffs and fewer halftime shows. No more fun dances, of course. This week, let's break it down. Now, first up, GDP. Now, in 2024, the US economy hit a whopping $29.2 trillion growing at 2.8%. Not bad, right? But look at China. They're sprinting ahead with a 5% growth rate, hitting $18.9 trillion. Yeah, I know, they're smaller, but they're catching up real fast. Now, and here's the kicker. Now, when you look at per capita GDP, the United States of America is still living large. China's got a lot of ground to cover if they want to match the America's standard of living. But wait a minute. While China has 1.4 billion to feed versus merely 340 million in the United States of America, do you know they actually exhibit very different inequality problems? Now, in China, there is this rural-urban gap due to regional disparities, so it's difficult but not impossible to solve problem. Whereas in the United States of America, is the individual level and family level income determinants such as family structure, race, ethnicity, things that could lead to social instability. So if you look at the numbers of homeless in major cities like San Francisco, well, I was there back in the 70s and 80s, and never would I expect to see so many homeless there. I mean, not to mention the drug zombies. Very horrible. Now, if the two countries were movies, I would say China is more like Brendan Fraser's With Honors, in which the homeless man Joe Pesci was trying to bring out social issues by holding Fraser's thesis hostage. And of course, you can still discuss, understand, and provide care. Whereas in the States, it's like The Walking Dead. Now, you can no longer talk to them, but just to shoot them. Now, I mean, which one has a better future? Where could you or where would you want to be then? For me, China. It's just a matter of time when the Chinese catches up. Look at the low-cost AI technology, DeepSeek. Now that one is giving OpenAI's ChatGPT a terrible nightmare. Now, CAR T-cell therapy, chimeric antigen receptor, which is CAR T-cell therapy, which is a way to get immune cells, called T-cells, a type of white blood cell, to fight cancer by changing them in the lab so that they can find and destroy cancer cells. Chang'e 6 lunar mission, which is a low Earth orbit communication satellite constellation, flexible displays, high temperature gas cool reactor, a nuclear power station, smart factories, autonomous vehicles, surgical robots, the Sora video generation AI model, and ultra large wind powered equipment, so on and so forth. And mind you, there's a much bigger market as well. Now, the growth of GDP over the next 30 years, if you ask economists, they're all expected to be in Asia. So talking about the future, let's talk investments as well. Yes, the United States of America is still the king of foreign direct investment, especially in high-tech and clean energy. Well, thanks to Bidenomics. Look at China. They're not far behind, even with all the regulatory drama and seemingly pesky property market slump that eventually turn out to be completely solvable. So were the US to play safe, well, they should have stuck to their EU allies and avoid brain-draining its high-tech field. Look at how many scientists are leaving. Meanwhile, look at China. China's out there building bridges, literally, in Africa, in Asia. Well, it's just like the US, investing in stocks while China's buying the whole neighborhood. So what next? Consumption. Now, look at Americans. Now, in the past, they were spending like there's no tomorrow. But today, prices soared, and thanks to Donald Trump's tariff plans, the Americans are paying literally like there's no tomorrow. Now everybody knows that imposing tariffs on China, where the country provides most of the daily supplies to the States, it's like stoning your own feet. Of course, not Donald Trump's feet, but the rest of the Americans in general. Well, not the rich one as well. The fact that President Trump is even imposing tariffs on his Canadian and Mexican neighbors is even more of a disaster. Now, if Trump's intention was to force the Canadians to change Americano into Canadiano, then he has obviously done the job quite well. But other than that, Nobody seems to be happy. Now, when Bidenomics seems to be not working out already very well, at least it's a general term, Bidenomics, right? But look at Trump. A most recent report from the Atlanta Fed is now coining the new term, Trumpsession. Now, if you haven't heard of this term before, you will now, because according to the Atlanta Fed, the United States GDP is shrinking at the fastest pace since the pandemic lockdown, thanks to Donald Trump, and hence, Trumpsession. The Atlanta Fed's GDP Now model estimate for annualized growth in the current quarter was a stunning negative 2.8% on Monday, March 10th, down from positive 2.3% just last week. Now, a month ago, the model showed that growth in the January-March period was tracking close to plus 4.0%. What an amazing way to make America suffer again. Now, these estimates are published regularly as new economic data is released and can be quite volatile. There were 11 in February alone. Hence, Friday's shocking reading of negative 1.5% was led by a record high $155 billion trade deficit in January, most likely as firms front-loaded imports ahead of tariffs. And Monday, well, that is March 10th as well, Monday's decline was driven by a soft manufacturing activity. Now, yes, there is every chance that this negative 2.5 could turn into a positive reading in a few weeks, but who wants this negative reading right now? Now, had it not been for the tariffs, it wouldn't be like this in the first place. Now, meanwhile, look at China. China's retail sales grew by 3.5%. But let's be real, the consumers are a bit skittish. Now, the government's pushing hard to get people to spend more, but it's not easy when everybody is worried about the economy. And yet, mind you again, China is one of the countries with the highest propensity to save, meaning that unlike the United States of America, they're not swiping cards. And on the jobs front, the United States is holding steady with a 4% unemployment rate. Healthcare, tech, and professional services are all keeping them afloat. Now, but on the other side, China's urban unemployment is at around 5%. But the youth unemployment? Now, it's a growing problem, but with these tech advances, new opportunities are going to pop up, and all these graduates who might be struggling to find jobs in the high-tech area or urban industries may soon land themselves on the desired jobs. Job prospects in the U.S.? I suspect. And finally, inflation. Now, Trump always says he has everything under control, and he is the guy who knows everything. And you heard him over the years. Nobody can do it like him. Nobody's stronger than him. Nobody has better toys than he does. Nobody's bigger or better to the military than he is. Nobody loves the Bible more than he does. Really? Nobody builds walls better than him. Nobody's better to the people with disability than him. Nobody's fighting for the veterans like he's fighting for the veterans. Wait a minute. Elon Musk just screwed the veteran stuff by cutting the funds to U.S. aid. And nobody has done so much for the equality as he has. And there's nobody more pro-Israel than he is. There's nobody that respects women more than he does. Honestly? And there's nobody that understands the horror of nuclear weapons more than he does. And the list goes on. On and on and on. Which is, according to Donald Trump, why it's him, Donald Trump alone, who can fix it or screw it. So, until then, ciao.
Before you leave, please be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and share this with your friends. See you in the next episode.